Yes, the Wildcats season is back on track, and I'm pleased to say their coach, John Rillie, is here in the studio with us today. John, thanks for joining the Dribble Podcast.
No worries, Craig.
Did breakfast taste a little bit better this morning?
Look, with that intro, half this stuff that you guys talk about when I do something like this is the first time I hear the commentating and anything like that. So if I feel good, breakfast always tastes good, and you have to appreciate the finer things in life.
The finer things in life are always good after a win. You've made some big changes, which has helped this team to come around, like moving Jordan Usher to the bench, Jesse Wagstaff more time, Hiram Harris more of a role. When did you sort of sit down and go, this is what we need to do, and let's see how it works?
Look, when you're not playing good, you just sit in a room, in your office, wherever, and ponder how you can maybe help and tinker with the team so you get obviously some wins, but how can you just create a little momentum through play? And you've seen with the improved play of Christian Doolittle, the enthusiasm and energy that Wagstaff and Hiram Harris play with, we're finding our feet right now.
I love the energy that those guys have brought to the team. Can you feel it straight away on the sidelines that they just bring something that makes everyone get up and about?
Yeah, look, the game the other night against Adelaide home, Hiram had 3 offensive rebounds in the first quarter. And then I talked about it, you're like passing the baton to the next guy that comes in. They see that effort and energy. They want to continue that on. And over the course of this weekend, that's what we did. The next man coming in produced, like David Aquera come in for 4 minutes, I think it was, against Melbourne, and he hasn't played for a couple games, and he brought great energy and effort to his time on the floor.
People have been intrigued by Jesse all season. He hasn't played at different times, he's had a big milestone, he didn't get on court at his celebration sort of game afterwards, and then last night he does some amazing things and helps the team. There's such a fascination about him because of who he is and what he can do for this group. Mm-hmm. Has that been hard to sort of deal with when you're trying to plan for his minutes and the reaction to him at the moment?
Look, I think what you saw over the weekend, we're kind of morphing into who we will become. And I guess for the way Jesse approaches his profession, he is my security blanket. I've said that for quite a while, is I know what he's going to give us. So there are some times where you're trying to figure out where other guys fit in that puzzle, knowing what Jesse can do. And we found a good balance right now.
So you said a couple of weeks back, you know what he can do, and that's good and bad in different ways for you as a coach. When you're trying to work out what everybody else can do and you don't necessarily know what they can do for this group and where they slot in, has that been a bit why he hasn't necessarily had as much of a say, because other blokes are trying to find their role?
Yeah, and look, at the start of the season, he was starting until we felt comfortable with where Doolittle would be on the team, and then he gets injured, we're not playing so good, and now Doolittle's potentially our starting 3-man with Ush moving to the bench. So then Jesse becomes, his role within that group and the rotations that I'm finding, he becomes a key piece to that, and you saw that against Melbourne United.
I was doing some maths earlier today. I'm not great at maths, but that's fair to say I was better at English than maths. But 200 minutes you got to play with.
Yep.
Bryce gets 38 of them, guaranteed.
Yep.
You're going to give Pinder and Doolittle 25 to 30 for each of those. And then when you start working your way backwards, people are going to miss out all the time, aren't they? How do you handle them, and how do you want people to view your team knowing that there just aren't enough minutes for everybody to go around?
Well, firstly, the couple different points you ask in that question, it's very important for myself and our staff to have great communication and just sweat equity with our guys away from what the public sees. So on our days off, what are we doing? So those guys feel comfortable that our plan and their own, their own wants and needs are getting met, and we're both being very realistic about where that is. So look, we just spend a lot of time with them. That can be on the court, off the court, watching film, because as you said, like a lot of those minutes are spoken for before the ball even gets tipped.
I find you in a really interesting position at the moment. You're in charge of such an intense organisation, an intense fan group, a big focus on this group. I reckon I've interviewed you 100 times since you've been here, and the person I see away from those interviews and away from games is a more relaxed, happy person that I see during interviews and during games. There's a lot of focus on your intensity.
Yep.
How do you come down?
How do I come down? I just relax, go home, enjoy the outdoors. And when I say the outdoors, that's, the beach or walking around somewhere like Kings Park, spending time with people that I appreciate. And look, basketball's my life. As I was driving to this, I figured 16 years pro playing. This is my 14th in the coaching side of things, so 30 years. So I've made it last. It's a tough profession, but to make it last 30 years and hopefully a few more to go, you got to have an intensity. It's what I get judged on.
Would you like people to see the other side of you a little bit more, or do you not care what people think of you? Because I remember when you were in here last year with your son, he was having a bit of a laugh and trying to avoid the cameras and avoid being anywhere near a microphone. You were having a giggle with him there, but you haven't got your family here at the moment. So I reckon you're in a unique position that your life is full basketball, even when you go home, I would have thought.
Whether my family's here or not, I'm full of basketball. I have 2 sons that play college basketball, and it's my life. It's my livelihood. I guess the one thing people probably don't understand about athletes, coaches. So when I was 17, 18, 19, I worked. I worked in an abattoir in Toowoomba, Queensland, where I cut up bacon so I could make enough money to take myself to college in the US to see where basketball could take me. So when you couldn't work in the bacon room, I get sent to the kill floor so I could make more money, so I wouldn't get sent home and my paycheck would be short. So if anyone's been on the kill floor, you, as a 17, 18-year-old, you're working with guys that have been working a knife for 20 years. So as they're carving the beast, they enjoy having a bit of fun with the 18-year-old picking up whatever you can imagine on the floor. So they throw it at you. That's their fun for the day. My fun was getting paid so I could get to the US. So what I've gone through, what you guys paint as what I've gone through the last 2 or 3 weeks, that's nothing.
Yep.
That's nothing. Bring it on. I've survived. I've made it work. I'll continue to make it work.
So with that in mind, this is your dream. This is what you've built towards.
Yep.
I reckon I've said the same thing to Scott Morrison when he was over here, that he was a different person on camera to off camera. And the person who I got to know was a lot of people didn't get to see.
Uh-huh.
And it was hard, I reckon, from an image perspective, how people look at you and perceive you and stuff like that. What would you like? How would you like Wildcats fans to see you, I suppose, would be the way? Because you are an energetic, intense person, but you're also the person who's guiding such a big franchise that they want to love as well.
You're right. Look, I think that takes time. Like any relationship takes time. The easiest way to win fans over is by winning, and winning big. We haven't done that yet. But does that discourage me from why I came here to be the head coach of the Perth Wildcats and where I think this franchise can continue to be successful? No. Like my playing career, there was ups and downs. People only look at someone's highlights or their lowlights. They don't look at the journey. They don't go, well, this will work out, because he stays the journey.
You mentioned going for walks through Kings Park. It's been a few fires out there
yep.
lately. What is your life? So talk us through. Are you into music? Are you into movies? Are you into TV? Are you into outside of basketball? What's your go-to to relax, or what's your go-to to enjoy yourself and bring a smile that we're now seeing on your face?
Basketball. Besides my family, and I tell, when I talked to the team, I don't know, a week ago, when we were not traveling so flash, there's 3 things I care about: my wife, my kids, and basketball. Now, yeah, we need other outlets. I try to wind down by listening to a podcast or some meditation or something like that, or Netflix comedy or something like that, but basketball is my life, and that's who I am.
So would you say you have a work-life balance, or is your work-life balance a work balance and life will fit in somewhere afterwards?
No. I would say as I've matured, I've found a better way of handling all of that stuff. Like when I was a player, I was consumed. If it was the night before a game, my wife and I probably going out wasn't probably high on the priority list, because I would have been using energy that I needed for the game. Where, I don't look at it like that. Probably utilize my time better, so when I am around my family, or I do need to disassociate myself from basketball, I don't feel like I'm getting behind or I'm not up to speed with what I need to for my job.
Your family's still in the US. When was the last time you saw all of them? I know there were some who were here for a little portion.
Yeah, so July and August, because we were back there to play the G League Ignite, so I was lucky enough to see them then.
And how long did you spend in the US when you had that break during the season?
Oh,
or during the off season?
Yeah, look, when our season's done and my commitments here, I'd take my long service or my annual leave. I guess it would be I go over there and spend a month or whatever with them.
So where are they all based?
California
still?
Yeah.
Nice place to live, isn't it?
It is. But when you have a teenage daughter finishing up high school, you have to be a smart and wise parent and help your kids become successful, and that was a good situation for her to remain in.
Do you see that as a big sacrifice, having to leave? Like, it's everyone over there and you here, it's a pretty empty house when you go home.
Yeah, look, but that's a choice we've made. My wife and I have been together for decades. So we understand sacrificing for each other and then for our family. So we just felt like at this stage in our life, this was beneficial for everyone. But it's tough on sometimes.
How are the boys going with their basketball?
Yeah, look, good. As far as our own situation, like everyone's thriving in what they're doing. So I get the opportunity to be a head coach of a successful franchise. My wife gets to do her thing, and my kids are going beautifully in life.
Do you have a plan for them being over here and settling back into Australia, or are they always, do you reckon, going to be college and US because that's all they've known?
No, look, my eldest son, he was out here and did pre-season with us for the first 3 weeks. When I originally got the job, my wife and daughter the plan was for them to move over once we found my daughter a school. But then she enjoys volleyball, has aspirations to be a collegiate volleyballer. So probably Southern California is a better spot than Perth, Western Australia, to pursue volleyball.
Yeah, it's fair to say volleyball isn't a big Australian sport, isn't it? How much talent does she have?
That's for someone else to decide. She's a 16-year-old girl figuring life out.
I'll rephrase it. What's she doing at the moment? What level is she competing at?
Look, she'll play college volleyball at some level. What that level is, she's got a couple of years to get that sorted out.
Does it excite you as someone who's coached at the college level to know what their lives can become because of that system over there, the opportunities through education, through contacts, through sport, what their lives would look like compared to what most people grow up here experiencing?
Yeah, look, all three of my kids were born in Australia. And then last year I had my middle child with me doing like a gap year. I actually thought there would be part of him where he would want to stay here just because of the lifestyle, his type of personality. But the college athletics drug him back. So my wife and I are very open-minded, and we certainly don't think going to the US colleges the be all and end all for everyone. You got to pursue life in your own journey, and we want our kids to pursue what they want to challenge themselves to. Outside
of basketball, what other sports do you like? Are you a US sports fan or are you an Aussie sports fan?
Oh, all of the above. It's Melbourne Cup Day, but I have nothing to do with horse racing, though.
Join the club?
Yep. So, like all the footy codes, obviously basketball. And when I say basketball, I'll watch college, NBA, Europe, all levels. So I'm not fussy on it.
What's your footy team?
Oh, NRL, Canberra Raiders.
Canberra Raiders?
Yes.
NRL, of course. You're from Queensland, aren't you?
Yeah.
So when you're from Queensland, how do you end up as a Canberra person?
So when Canberra Raiders first kicked off, the majority of that team were Queenslanders, or the most important pieces were Mel Meninga. That was like a childhood legend of mine. So he went to Canberra. So that's why I follow the Canberra Raiders.
Are you a beach person?
Yeah. Like I have a boogie board and I enjoy catching some waves, absolutely.
We saw you catch up with Justin Longmuir from Fremantle the other week, and you said you wanted to catch up with as many different coaches as you can. Are there any others you can name who you've got relationships with, either here or overseas?
No, like Justin's by far the one that I forged the best relationship with here in Perth to date. That is one of the negatives when you spend some of your time in the off-season overseas, is that's the best time for me to network. But, yeah, I've spent a couple meetings with Justin and just spent some time, and we talk about head coaching stuff.
He's obviously over in America as well, now doing some meetings. It does seem like all sports look after each other when it comes to coaching.
Yeah, and since I'm in the head coaching role 18 months now, and just especially in the last 2 to 3 weeks, of people that reach out to you just to check in and make sure you're doing all right. It's it's a club that's growing for me.
You didn't have any head coaching experience before you came here, so it's a big step to go from assistant coach, never done the head coach position before, and then take on a club like the Wildcats. Has it been different to what you thought it would be? Because you would have been coming in with your eyes wide open, but how different has it been?
I guess the biggest thing is when you're an assistant coach, you're creating you're collecting all of this stuff that you think you'll use as a head coach in basketball, X's and O's. And then you get into the job and it's more managing people, spending time with them away from basketball, so you get to understand who they are as people, so you can connect with them a little bit better and coach them a little bit better. And then you finally go, all right, now we can get some X's and O's going. So, my actually advice for anyone that's a budding head coach for the first time is it's your experience in just situations versus you collecting copious amounts of data basketball-wise that's going to get you through your first year or two.
Had you experienced anything like that last 20-odd seconds of regular time with the mayhem that happened against Melbourne? There was fouls, there was coaching challenges, There was more fouls, there's free throws being missed, there's free throws being made. It was pretty hectic, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, but I think it was 1997. I was involved in a game, Adelaide versus Brisbane, where it was a little controversial finish, and we lost. We'd made what we thought was a game-winning heroic play, and then Brisbane come back with supposedly 0.3 seconds. They made quite the spectacular play in 0.3 seconds. So having gone through that as a young player, and when we thought we'd won the game and you celebrate because there was 0.3 seconds on the clock and then you lose it, it comes full circle. So last night, so much can happen in a short amount of time.
Did you say the NBL today have come out and said that the coach's challenge you had, where you were successful, the correct decision was made in that situation, but the foul call on the floor was wrong, and under the rules they can't change the foul call when they do the review. So if they had have called a chopping foul, then it would have been unsuccessful. They called a push, therefore you get the challenge, and Melbourne just have to cop the fact that the foul existed, but it was the wrong call.
Right.
Do you like the way the coaching challenge system is set up when you consider that they could see a foul on the review, but they couldn't actually call the foul on the review?
How long's a piece of string?
Yeah, it's long.
Yeah. So that's where I go with that is the rules are in place. Everyone understands that can potentially happen. That's probably not the first time that's happened this year, but because it's in that moment, it gets a little bit more attention.
Yeah, I do remember you trying to call a coach's challenge at one point, and the ref saying, no, you can't call a coach's challenge for that. And you've looked at me and gone, well, why not? There are a lot of loopholes, aren't there, in this rule? Yeah.
Well, loopholes or so many rules that's why you ask those questions. So, it's... the rules are the rules. I'll adjust them or change them in time, and that's why you play. And they said they made the right call, correct?
Yeah. Under the rules, they made the correct decision.
We're all playing by the same rules.
How do you handle your group this week after an overtime game? There's more minutes they've just played. Do you give them a bit of a rest, given it's a short break before the next game? Yeah,
we strategically limit some guys up until we really ramp it up on Thursday to prepare. Obviously I get a little nervous about the success and the energy expanded over the last week leading into this weekend's game. So I don't want to say it's a danger game because you hope you're building momentum, but we need to come prepared for the New Zealand Breakers.
Crowd was up and about for the last game against Adelaide here. The energy in the building was massive. I imagine you'd be hoping that those fans can bring the same level of energy for you and help you go over the line again.
Yeah, look, the fans, they always bring the energy and the passion. That's the one thing that that's going to be in that building. So I think as we continue to grow and they appreciate our style of play and who this team is becoming, we can produce them with some moments that give them the boost and the energy as well.
Well, good luck. hopefully it goes well for you this weekend. I really appreciate you coming in.
No worries. Thank you.